Beautiful time of year. It's our first full Sunday slate of NFL action for the 2024 season. You got those fantasy football lineups to set, and if you're dealing with some Arizona Cardinals debates, I'm here to help you out. My name is Bo Brock from PHNX Cardinals, and I cover this team on a daily basis, going to practice, talking to players and coaches alike. And yeah, we haven't had a whole lot of viable fantasy football players on the Cardinals the last couple of years outside of Kyler Murray and the emergence of Trey McBride. Maybe a D-Hop sprinkled in there, but not a whole lot dating back to the Larry Fitz and David Johnson days. But I think that changes in the 2024 season with a budding group of young playmakers that Kyler Murray can spread the ball around to that should be very viable in the fantasy football world. Let's start with week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. Some fearless starts in the Arizona Cardinals starting lineup, and we'll start with the trigger guy, the quarterback, Kyler Murray, who's been a top 5 points per game player since entering the league in 2019. Look for him to firmly entrench himself back in the top 5 fantasy football quarterback ranks this season. And just the sample size and a new offense last year with very little playmakers outside of McBride, Kyler, he scored over 17 points in 6 of his 8 games that he played in 2023, and with the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., should be solid and consistent, probably a must start throughout the season, including week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. Let's go to the run game, and there's some questions as far as the run game. Who's the bell cow? Well, Cardinals offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, he cleared that up for us.
Look, James is the bell cow in that room. That's not a surprise to anyone.
Expect Connor to pick up where he left off against the Buffalo defense that finished in the bottom half in rushing defense in 2023. And Connor, he finished strong. He averaged over 25.5 points per game over his last 4 games with the Cardinals in 2023, including 5 touchdowns. Trey McBride, who emerged, also should be able to feast on this Buffalo defense that reworks the back end of their secondary and are without star linebacker Matt Milano, who shut down the middle third of the field for the Bills defense, allowing no touchdowns in that area of the field, but had 5 interceptions when he's been out. They've given up 7 touchdowns and recorded no interceptions. Let's get to the fun part of the Cardinals offense. How about that passing attack? Marvin Harrison Jr., the 4th overall pick out of Ohio State, son of a Hall of Famer and Marvin Harrison Sr. Harrison, the most decorated Ohio State wide receiver in the program's history, the only wide receiver to record back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons. You got any more questions about him? Just listen to his quarterback, Kyler Murray, talk about him.
I don't really view him as a rookie, to be honest. I know he is, but man, his ability and his mental, it's not on the level of a rookie, So I expect him to go out there and do what he does.
Those are the Cardinals players that you should start without a shadow of a doubt. Now let's get into a couple sleeper options for you. And we'll start with, on the fantasy streets, who's been a sleeper option for quite a while. Light the Dortch. How about our guy, Greg Dortch, who when he gets 75% of the offensive snaps, is always productive, including his lone 100-yard receiving game in his career. Dortch averaged nearly 9 targets and 6 receptions for over 65 yards when getting 75% of the offensive snaps, and he certainly should get that as the newly minted slot receiver for this Arizona Cardinals team. He's also going to be a do-it-all type guy. Return kicks, he will return punts, he'll be their gadget player running reverse plays and taking handoffs out of the backfield while running routes out of the slot. Now, I don't think he's the biggest sleeper for the Arizona Cardinals going into week 1 and for the 2024 season. That belongs to Michael Wilson, the second-year player out of Stanford, who had 38 catches for over 500 yards in his rookie season. Did battle injuries just like he did in his collegiate career, but he looks healthy going into this season. And Wilson, over his last game and a half with Kyler Murray, really locked down that rapport. He had 10 catches for 130 yards with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and basically risked it all this offseason to build and further build that rapport with his quarterback over his soccer star fiance, Sophia Smith.
Been throwing every single weekend. K1 would text me, Mike, you here? Yeah, I'm here. Like, let's go. Been throwing at different high schools. Sometimes he'll text me, 8 o'clock the night before. You want to go tomorrow at 10? And I'm like, shoot, man, you just let me know. Stayed here pretty much every single weekend. throughout this whole OTAs specifically so I could train with K1. Right? I told my girlfriend, I said, I'm not coming to Portland. I'm not coming to Portland during the week, and I'm staying here so we can work on my relationship with Kyler. But it's really been amazing. I can't even articulate how awesome it's been.
Here are some options that you're going to want to sit week 1, and it's with no question the defense. Defense gave up the second most points in the NFL last season. And sure, they added some nice pieces this offseason. They're going up against a buzzsaw and quarterback Josh Allen. Even though he's got a revamped wide receiver room, Allen can devastate opposing defenses. This is a defense that doesn't really have a viable pass rush against the Buffalo Bills offensive line that surrendered the least amount of sacks in the NFL last season. A surprising sit to many, though, especially just looking at the trends from drafts, would be rookie out of Florida State, running back Trey Benson. Now, he probably is the in-house successor to James Conner, who's in a contract year. But Benson, as far as his role, it's undefined as of yet. And of course, as we mentioned, and Drew Petzing also solidified, it's James Conner's run game right now. And Benson will have a role, but I don't view it as viable right now as a fantasy football option. Who do you think is going to be the top fantasy football point scorer for the Arizona Cardinals in Week 1 against the Buffalo Bills? Drop a comment, leave a like, and of course, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube.
We all silly like the mayor.